Hello to our fantastic statewide campus presidential candidates. We've got Braxton Evans and Kelsey Johnson joining me tonight. And we're really excited to get to know the two of you a little bit better. As mentioned, you're both running for the president position, and we're very excited. So without further ado, let's give both of you guys a chance to introduce yourselves. And let's start with Kelsey.
Hey, thanks, Sophie. Yeah, so a little bit about me. Some things I've mentioned in my platform. This is my second year as the Brigham Region VP, and I really enjoyed it. I have a lot of experience in customer service and government finances as well. Something I didn't mention in my platform and campaign information is I'm a mom of two, and I work, and I really love what I do. I work for a nonprofit here in Utah for water, and I teach classes virtually for that. I showed Sophie and Braxton earlier the extensive Lego collection. We're very creative here with that. I know it has nothing to do with the election, but a little personal touch there. Yeah, we love to go hiking and camping. It's really important to us. I'm majoring in recreation resource management, and I want to do more for our resources here in Utah because it's something very unique to our state. That's further down the road, but I really enjoy policy and legislation and working with USUSA. It's been really awesome. So I'm excited to hopefully continue that journey.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kelsey. Braxton, you now have the floor.
Thank you, Sophie. So my name is Braxton Evans. I've been serving as the Tooele Region VP for a year now, which has taught me so many wonderful lessons and so given me so many experiences that I could never in my life expect to experience, such as dealing with COVID and trying to find activities to reach our students and stuff like that. A little about me is that I teach at a elementary school, and the kids call me Mr. B for reasons I don't know, but they like calling me different nicknames. Like today I was told I was Mr. Donut through the day. I don't know why, but just some first grader came and told me, but which I love working with kids. My favorite thing in the world to do. I've loved being a part of USUSA and being a part of it. Trips me out. I apologize. And I really have appreciated the opportunities working with all the different types of VPs. And it's just something I love doing just because it gets me connected with students and other regions and giving feedback to other campuses. And it's something I hope to continue doing as I hopefully maybe continue and win this election or not. I mean, Kelsey's amazing. And I think the world of Kelsey. I cannot speak bad of her. But I hope to continue this journey and learn more and be able to experience more with our wonderful students.
Perfect. Thank you both so much. And I do just have to say, it's so fantastic to see your passion shine through. And I think you're both amazing candidates and would both do an exceptional job. So thank you so much for that. We do have a few questions that are prepared that we'd love to get you guys to answer. I think what we'll do, we'll go back and forth. So for the first question, we can start with Kelsey and then go to Braxton. And for the next question, we'll let Braxton go first. So with that, the first question that we would like to ask is, what made you interested in running for the statewide campus's president position? And Kelsey, you can go ahead and start.
All right. So what I was drawn to and interested, I didn't realize when I started my college journey that there was student government for or student association for the statewide students. And so once I kind of realized that, I was really excited because it was something that I didn't really get to participate in high school. And this was a good opportunity. And I've always been interested in leadership positions, but in high school I was super introverted. And now that I'm a little more comfortable in my skin and I'm more comfortable with policymaking and legislation and speaking up for the underdogs and making sure everybody, everybody's needs are met at school is really important to me. And it's been such a good opportunity to get that practice and get that really good experience with leadership. I also come from a family of 5 and I'm a middle child. So I was always the peacekeeper and trying to like keep my brothers from killing each other and like, okay, let's work this out, you guys. So it's something that's very comfortable for me in any kind of teamwork setting, is to find compromises and negotiations and try to find solutions productively, without somebody getting stepped on or forgotten about. It's really important to me. So that's kind of what drove me to student government in general.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Braxton?
Can I copy and paste that? Because a lot of that I filled. Because I also didn't participate in student government in high school. And when elections came about last year, I was approached by our director of students to run as VP and see this opportunity. And even when I was running, I still kind of was iffy about it. Like, is this something I really want to do? And I really was like, once I was elected, I was like, this is where I could be. I will learn so much from it. And I have learned from it and experienced it. And even this year, I was happy running again for being the Tooele VP, and becoming president wasn't on my radar at the time. But then we had the January retreat where it kind of became really clear to me after talking to people and getting their input and information that becoming president would become a great opportunity and would teach even more lessons and give me more experience at learning about other campuses and getting involved more with them than I already kind of am, planning and coordinating activities with them, and just getting that opportunity to really kind of like see more of what Utah State does and the legislation and the more policies, how they form and how they draw from Logan campus and how they affect statewide campuses. And just getting that opportunity would be amazing to learn about how universities truly work behind the scenes to make students feel welcome and give them the best possible education they can.
Perfect. Thank you both so much. All right, on to the next question. I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that this has been an extremely challenging year with everything going on. So I'm curious to know, what challenges have you endured or persevered through that have helped you grow during this pandemic? Braxton, let's start with you.
Perfect. So with the pandemic, I was so very much the person that just planned very thoroughly that plan A would work. Just I would plan and plan and plan to make sure plan A went without a hitch as well as it could. But with the pandemic, I really learned to create, here's plan A, then here's plan B, C, D, and even all the way to Z, because at the beginning, not a lot of campus activities were getting approved and nothing was going quite as anyone expected. I mean, you would have told me a year ago I would have had to prep lessons and stuff that can be taught online and virtually and through Zoom and stuff. I would have been like, there's no freaking way you can do it. But here we are hosting a debate for students to view and participate in if they chose, or being recorded and sent to them so that they can view and watch later or attend meetings and stuff. So the challenge that I had to learn and deal with was not plan A does not always work, and planning it every single detail doesn't always work. You sometimes have to do plan A, plan B, plan C, and just keep trying until you achieve your ultimate goal of what you wanted to achieve.
Wonderfully said. And Kelsey?
Yeah, I kind of had similar experiences in the Brigham region where it was hard to get things planned, and flexibility was really important. I think just a kind of different perspective, like at work, I started this job and it was this class that we have to offer to water operators in the state. And with the pandemic, everything had to move online. And it really highlighted communication skills. And if, like, I'm sure everybody's experienced this year, if you didn't already have great communication skills, this was the year to perfect them, because there is so much going on. And emails, I mean, I don't think I've received and sent this many emails in a really long time this year with student government and with work. But it's definitely like just in my teaching with the class that I teach online, teaching virtually and making sure I communicate and I make things interactive and fun and interesting is super important, and that there are so many opportunities for virtual events and virtual meetings, and things can still be very productive in a virtual sense, and can even reach more people if we can do it virtually instead of keeping ourselves contained in this in-person format that's so traditional. So I definitely like just communication for sure, just like making sure everything is clear and you get your point across. That's definitely been something that's really not really, I guess not really a challenge, but something that's really like been, I think, worked on a lot this year for me, is making that an even better part of myself.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So, the two of you kind of touched on this already, but you are both current student body officers and you're both vice presidents in your respective regions. So, we're curious to know, what has been your favorite part about working as a vice president in your respective regions? And Kelsey, let's start with you.
My favorite part, there's so many. This year was tough. Last year was honestly a lot more fun because we could do so much more in person. There really was a lot of constraints this year that was tough. I think my favorite part is like the leadership and being able to be in a position where I can directly affect and have I can be a part of these changes that affect all the students, whether they're aware of them or not. But it's been like really impactful and important to me. And honestly, my favorite part is being a part of those changes and the updates, and working with the constituents and the other students and the representatives to make sure that these things are really good ideas. We've had some one idea that came up recently in our executive council, and after bringing it back to my representatives and other people, that it was like so much other communication was brought to the table about problems with this that I didn't foresee. And it was exciting for me. It sounds silly, but it was exciting for me to really open up and to see these different perspectives of how this would affect different people in different ways. And I really enjoy that part of it, is being part of that communication. That teamwork has just been a lot of fun.
Perfect. And Braxton?
Oh my goodness. I was tearing up during that, Kelsey. That was like beautiful. I was like, that's so a good answer. But my favorite thing about working as a VP was working with students and seeing just kind of how universities are ran, like participating in the fee board. I had no idea how much legislation, meetings, or like what needs to be done, what needs to be said, and just all that kind of the whole process of whether or not to increase fees and decrease fees, and how that affects other campuses compared to different campuses, and all the kind of inner workings that way. And what it really takes to run a university is meeting and coming to agreements and saying, this is what would benefit our students the greatest. Or even working on like projects with other statewide campuses, like being able to work with Kelsey hosting the Valentine's movie night was amazing. And we partnered with her and they did the movie, and we were able to give drinks and stuff with a local business in our area to make it kind of to Willa unique. But getting those opportunities, like working with Kelsey and learning what she knows, I don't know if she's learned a lot from me, but I've truly learned a lot from Kelsey, and how much the passion she has for her campus is phenomenal. Like she said, when she went back and during a council met with her people and heard the voices and heard their concerns being addressed, and brought it back to council and said, these are the concerns being addressed at our campus, and making sure that their campus's representatives were being heard. And the drive that she had really had inspired me to also continue the drive and be like, what would be beneficial for our Tooele students, and how could I do more? Like, we coordinated with students. We did a Christmas drive where we used some of our budget money to help those in a retirement home that weren't able to spend Christmas with their families because of the pandemic. And we had students coordinate with us and coordinate with me letting them create crafts so that they crafted their own decorations to put on their trees. So they had something to do while they were in kind of like lockdown situation so that they weren't getting ill or afflicted with this pandemic. And so just these kind of small parts working as the VP has taught me so much that I had a couple favorites in there, you know. But, you know, it's just one of those really great opportunities that has been amazing for me so far. And that's been my favorite thing, is just the many opportunities afforded to me to learn and grow and prosper from serving the Tooele campus as their VP.
Thank you so much, you guys. All right, next question. As the statewide campus's president, it will be your job to be a voice for all of the statewide campus students. How do you plan on working to represent the entire statewide campus system and make sure that all the individual needs of students are met? And Braxton, we can start with you.
I think the biggest thing that has been one of my, sorry, let me put voices in my head on first. I think one of the things that have always stuck with me is making sure that we have great communication. It's just a pet peeve of mine when things aren't communicated. So making sure that we have communication throughout the board and making sure that as the president is working with VPs, not necessarily interfering like, well, you need to be doing this, but just talking to them and making sure, well, what's going on in your campus? What are needs that your students needs? And how can I help them as president make sure that their voices on your campus is being heard with maybe other meetings that you attend? And if like the dean asked like what our statewide campus is experiencing, the president can be like, well, I know Brigham campus is good, Tooele campus is good, Kaysville campus is struggling in these kind of areas, like students aren't coming to campus and they want to see more campus, and making them individual and unique because our campuses are unique. They're, you know, Tooele is not Brigham. We're not, you know, they're unique in their own rights and perspectives. Like we have a lot of non-traditional students at our campus and working parents and working mothers and working fathers and has children and other responsibilities. So making sure that they know that their voices are being heard by their representatives and making sure that we're all working for their benefit, since that's why we're in these positions, is for the students' benefits, and making sure that their voices are being heard, even if it's the smallest, hey, this facilitator was kind of mean to me, you know, oh, well, contact this person, they should be able to help you, you know, being able to be there for the students is really important.
Thank you. And Kelsey?
Will you read the question one more time, please?
Of course. So as the statewide campus president, it's going to be your job to be a voice for the entire statewide campus system. So the question is, how are you going to work to represent the entire system and make sure the individual needs of students are met?
Okay, so copy paste what Braxton said, but add on to I think it's, you know, when we have executive council meetings, at the end we each share what's going on in each campus region, and that part I think is really important to me. And I've kind of pushed. There's been one or two times where we tried to skip that part of the meeting. Braxton will remember this, and Sophie will too. When I was like, no, we have to hear this, because it's very important to me to hear what's going on with other campuses and to hear how their activities are going and what they have planned. Because a lot of the time, something that Blanding has planned, some of us want to participate in and want to join forces on it. And I think it's also important for that time to listen to how the activity went after the fact. And I think that part of our meetings, I think, are almost as critical as the rest of our meetings, to get the feedback of what's going on. That's really important to me. And I want to make sure in this upcoming year that we spend a little bit more time on that section of the meetings, because otherwise the statewide president isn't going to hear much unless it's one-on-one emails or phone calls. So that's one thing I want to make sure, is to allot plenty of time for those meetings. I know nobody likes long meetings, but communication, I mean, if you don't make the space for it, then we can't hear the voices. And it's important to me that there's a lot more with the statewide president position, there's a lot more big picture stuff that they participate in, at least from what I've witnessed as a VP. A lot more interaction, more with the administration and the staff, and not as much interaction, hardly, I mean, probably no party planning at all. The VPs get to be a part of some of that party planning. But for the most part, statewide presidents don't really get to do a lot. And so there isn't really a lot of face time with the other students. And so it's important to me that we participate more in that, and we have more conversations of follow-up of how these meetings are going, or what kind of conversations did you have with those students at that meeting or at that activity, and what was their feedback. I think that's something I'm really going to encourage, is the VPs have got to communicate. And I know they are, but I want to make sure that draw that out of the VPs and make sure that they relay that information to me as much as I can, as well as doing my best to make it to some of the activities at other regions and participating in some of these things as much as I can to get around the state. The one nice thing about my job is I actually am required to travel throughout the state for my job. And so that gives me an opportunity to stop by Blanding and Moab and some of these other campuses throughout the year. And I hope that's definitely one of my goals, is to make stop-in visits and to see the VP and say, how's it going? Tell me about your campus. I want to see what's going on and what are your demographics like? And let's talk more about how we can improve things here. That's some of my goals of how I want to reach out to every region and every student.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right. I want to shift gears for just a minute and ask a kind of fun question so we can get to know your personalities a little better. What's your favorite dinosaur and why? Kelsey.
Stegosaurus, one of the big, really cool shapes on his spine. That it's like a diamond shape. There's a new word for it in core math or whatever it is, but this shape, they got the cool spikes. I think that's just so creative and unique. I love that.
Ooh, solid answer. Braxton?
I don't know that many dinosaurs. I only know like the nicknames, so that's not fun. I thought these were fun questions, Sophie. No, I'm just kidding.
I didn't mean to make you think.
I know. I'm like actually like, oh crap, what kind of dinosaur do I know? But I've always liked the one, I think it's, oh, I don't even know what it's called. That's so awful of me and I feel so bad, but it's the one with the long neck. We know what we're talking about, right?
Yes,
Okay.
the long neck.
Yes, the long neck.
That's what I call
And
it.
from the long neck, Loch Ness monster, you know.
It eats
But
plants,
the one
right?
with the long neck, just because I remember as a kid watching like Jurassic Park and just seeing like that whole scenery where they're all out there. And I just remember being so interested with this long neck dinosaur, which just reaching up, eating the fruit, and just kind of, and then like in elementary school, we kind of touched on it. And I don't remember the name, but I remember some of the things. Bronchiosaurus. Thank you, Lihar. I totally just butchered the name, but thank you. You know what I was talking about. But you know, that dinosaur is just majestic and beautiful to me just because it was able to reach this fruit and just, it was so just majestic.
Perfect. Thanks, you guys. I think we have time for a couple more questions. I would love for you to describe your approach to leadership and also mention how you plan to inspire teamwork between the incoming officers, administration, and staff. And I think, Braxton, we got you first, sir.
Sweet. Just kidding. My approach to leadership is kind of unusual to me just because I haven't heard a lot of people's leadership, but I'm very much a group worker. Like, I don't like to dictate, like, I need you to do this, A, B, C, D, or I will just do it because I like to collab. I like to hear the different perspectives of people and just hear their opinions. Like, hey, this is what like when we were planning the virtual cooking night in March, I was like, I want to host a virtual activity. I want to try it. What are some ideas with my committee? And it like a couple ideas got tossed out. And I was like, what if we did a cooking night that benefits our students because they're learning cooking in different environments, and cooking on a budget is what we decided on, and just learning about the different perspectives from students and stuff, which I think is critical for like statewide representation so that all people's voices are being heard, and just having that perspective, because I was raised one way, a representative could have been raised in a different way. The campuses are different. So gaining that perspective is really important to me. So I like doing the group projects and, being like, okay, let's try this. And, not like we need this done now and just, okay, what do we think? Could we do something like this? And just very like working out the details as a group instead of just, well, you just decide. I don't like that. I'm very indecisive because I'm like, well, I like both of these activities and I just want to do them both. But working as a group, like talking about it and working collectively and just, here's the goal, here's what we want to do, this is how we'll achieve it, what do I need to do? Because even if I do assign it like to my rep, hey, this is what I need you to do, I'll still, hey, is there anything I can help you out with? And working as like a group collectively. So not necessarily like being like top dog on top dog, just, okay, what do you need? I understand it's stressful being a vice president. I understand it's hard getting students to your activities. What could we come up with ideas and work together collectively to do that? And the same kind of goes for working with administration and getting those new people in. Because for me, it was me and my advisor just very clicked and we were on the ball. But I like me and the associate vice president and I don't really talk a lot. So it's nice having the director of students be kind of like our mediator and working. And when we do need to talk, such as like after our fee board, we sat down and we talked collectively and was like, here's what we did. And so I think just being able to open that communication, and I was lucky because I have amazing people, but not all campuses are like that. Sometimes you butt heads with certain people and it just, and so I think having someone to be like a mediator and play both sides and just, I hear your concern, I will help, let's try to figure out some ways that we can cope with this, because I've done that a lot being the lead swim official in our county. Just, okay, swimming coach, I understand you're just like, your swimmer did not like that disqualification. Let me go talk to the official and see if they're for sure. Yep, they're for sure. I'm sorry, but this is what they can do to improve their stroke so they're not getting disqualified, or here are some steps that we could do so that this incident does not happen again. So just being able to have both sides trust each other and even like helping represent like the new students, like even sitting down with them and being like, this is Sonia Jensen, she's the director of students, I've worked with her as my VP. This is, I think her name is Julie Andrews, is the new VP, and just kind of working with campuses to make sure that there's these communication skills being connected and put together so that they're not terrified of, oh, I don't know if I should bug them on this or that topic and such.
Great. Thank you so much, Braxton. And Kelsey?
Yeah, leadership and teamwork. So for me, teamwork, it's important that, especially in meeting situations, where that everybody on the team shares what their opinion is on it, on a certain topic. And it's important to me that I've been in plenty of situations where we've been in a meeting with 10 or so people, and a couple of people are not saying anything. And it's not because they don't have something to say, it's because they're probably not comfortable saying it, or they have a strong disagreement or a strong opinion, but they're feeling insecure about it, or they're concerned about it. And so it's important to me in those meeting settings to make sure that everyone at the table, maybe a virtual table, but everybody at the table gets to share what they're thinking about. And even if the answer is I'm indifferent, that's okay, but I want to make sure that it's said, because it's important that that is communicated, that they are fine with either one, or maybe their response is, I have more questions, I'm just not comfortable with picking a side yet. And that's important to hear. And I don't like being in team settings where the leader of the meeting, whether they're the actual leader or not, the leader of the meeting skips over someone simply because they're being quiet. Not everybody in leadership positions, it doesn't have to be all extroverted, bubbly, loud people. There's plenty of good leaders out there that are a little more reserved, and there's leaders come in all different personality types and ages and backgrounds, and it's good to have them as a team in there. And so it's important to me to make sure that everybody's opinion is shared. And I think with leadership, for me, it's really important to listen to everybody and to make sure that everything that they're trying to convey is important. We had a situation recently in Brigham where we were sharing opinions about a certain matter, and a lot of people were passionate about it. And then we had one person that just wasn't saying anything at all. And I called her, not like, I didn't like call her out in a rude way, but I called on her and I said, hey, do you have something to share? What are your thoughts on this? And she was like, oh, I don't know. I'm just not really sure right now. I was like, okay, well, that was your opportunity. But then later she sent me a long text, and it was like, and she was like, I just didn't know how to put it into words at the time. And that was really important to me. That I was like, I really appreciate your input. And I included it in my notes, and I made sure that that was shared when I came back to executive council, because that was still important to me, that even if she couldn't convey what she was feeling in the moment, I wanted to make sure that it was still heard, and that everything was, that she was still able to kind of wrap her head around the idea, and she was, and it was good. And I think also, so making sure that everybody's listened to, and then taking a stance and moving forward. And sometimes it can be really hard with the one time this year, I mean, I make lots of mistakes, but the one time this year that I made a big mistake was sharing some opinions and some stance that I felt was appropriate, and then coming back and realizing that my representatives felt completely opposite, and hearing from them and sharing why they felt completely different on this matter. It's really important to me that a leader is willing to admit when a mistake has been made and to apologize and to be the first to move forward. And it doesn't necessarily mean that that leader needs to let everybody else take control of the room, because I've seen that happen before too, where you've been in a meeting or some kind of situation where you're working as a team, and the leader doesn't actually act like a leader, and the rest of the team takes control and takes it in a whole direction that not everybody agrees with, and that maybe isn't the best choice. And so talking reason into that group is really important too, and to make sure, hey, I understand you guys are passionate about this, but just remember, in the Constitution or our contracts, this is specified and we can't go outside of that. And if we do, you're talking about rewriting some important rules. We can't just go off the rails here because the majority of the room feels that way. We have to take this seriously. And sometimes that's what leadership looks like. Sometimes it looks like apologizing for a mistake. Sometimes it looks like reining in your attendee, people in the team, and making sure that they're aware of our restraints of what we can do as a student association, and to not go crazy with an idea that really is not productive. Keeping those meetings on track is just as important as getting everybody's opinion heard, in my opinion.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Well, to finish up, I just have one last question for both of you. And we would like to know in 30 seconds why the students should choose you for the statewide campus as president. And Kelsey, you can start.
Yeah, I think you should choose me as a statewide president. This is something I'm very passionate about. I am a fourth generation Aggie, and this is my life. And I love the Aggies so much. School is so important to me. And as a non-traditional student who works and has a family and makes sacrifices to make time for this would give me so much joy. And it would give me so much joy for Braxton to be president as well. He is such a good fit for this as well. But this is definitely something that I definitely feel like called to. And this is so important to me that this next year goes well with our bylaws being rewritten and constitution changes.
Thank you so much. And Braxton.
I'm going to start crying, Kelsey. Dang it. That's not fair. But I think one reason that students should vote for me is that I can bring a different kind of perspective to the table, because I'm a younger college student, kind of non-traditional because I'm working all the time. I have all these activities going on, and I attend a local campus instead of going up to the traditional Logan campus, and having all these passions, the same as Kelsey, being the first one in my family to earn a degree and go to college and strive after all of these accomplishments, and going after what I want. And, you know, I speak the world of Kelsey. I mean, you can ask anyone. I'm like, Kelsey is an amazing VP, and she would be so awesome in this. We are so bad debaters because we just compliment each other. But I have loved working with Kelsey and all the other VPs, and I think they would just do an amazing job. But I would love the opportunity to be with these students and help, you know, be a part of their campuses and give them different, you know, perspectives and opportunities, and just, you know, see what being an Aggie is all about, and giving them that chance to see, like, this is what it means to be an Aggie. We love being Aggies.
Oh, well said, both of you. Again, I would just like to say thank you so much for taking the time to put this together and to answer some of our questions and to reach out to the students. Again, it's clear that you're both so passionate, and I'm very excited to see what happens with both of you. I think you're both going to do amazing things.
For both of us.
So as a final reminder to everyone tuning in, just make sure that you are voting in the final elections at vote.usu.edu. And thank you, everyone.